Jimmy Kimmel lied on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and now his faithful followers are eating their own and maybe joining us in a Disney boycott. All that and more coming up on 20 Minutes of Truth with Barrett and Baxa.
You're listening to Barrett and Baxa. Real stories, raw takes, and the slow, strange death of traditional media.
Yes, Bob, we can do that. 20 minutes if we want to. 20 minutes of truth. Sometimes we need to go long, and the alliteration still works perfectly. 20 minutes of truth and 10 minutes of truth. So we're going to do 20 today. And today, of course, we're talking about the media mess that consumed all of us. Jimmy Kimmel and his ridiculous remarks that, according to the right, perpetuated the media lie about the killer of Charlie Kirk. And we will also look at what he really said. In fact, by now, you must have heard what it was that got him kicked off of the air, but I want to play it for you again, just in case.
I've changed a little bit on what I think he said. I have. So.
All right, let's listen again. We can talk about it.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So that's what he said.
Here in the beginning, when I first heard it, I was outraged like everyone else. And I truly felt that he was saying the killer, I felt that he was saying the killer was MAGA. The killer was a MAGA Trump supporter. That's what I thought. That's what I felt he just said. And I felt that for a long time. Then I spoke, we're going to have a regular guest in my thoughts is going to be our good friend A, my best girl's brother. And I had a long conversation with him, and he was like, dude, that's not what he said. And so the more I listen to it, I kind of think that A is right. Jimmy Kimmel was saying that the MAGA gang was trying to characterize the killer as anything other than a MAGA person. And that he used weird syntax. It's awkward syntax, but I have now come around to the mindset that Jimmy Kimmel really did not say the killer was MAGA. So what he said was probably not that big of a deal. That's where I'm at now. So I kind of changed.
Yeah, where I'm at is that I realize now that was a perfectly written non-joke.
Yeah, it was.
And he was trying to say it without saying it. And in journalism,
Correct.
we do that all the time, especially in the left-leaning media. They'll say something and just sort of jumble the words around in a way that it sounds exactly like what you're trying to convey, but you didn't actually say it. And that's
Correct.
what he did. And here's another thing. All of these people out there, immediately everybody started going, free speech, free speech, free speech. What happened to him is akin to a Walmart cashier that's telling you the earth is flat every time as they check out their customers. And Walmart saying to them, hey, you can't be espousing your views like that. And so he got fired. They finally got tired of it. It's not a free speech issue.
No.
In fact, it's a very expensive speech issue. Because he's being paid
$15 million a year.
Millions of dollars by ABC to speak. So it's incredibly expensive speech. Furthermore, I don't think he was canceled. He wasn't banned on social media.
No.
And, he can still go out there and do whatever he wants. He can do his show tonight, in Times Square or on the Santa Monica Pier.
Remind me again of that part of the Bill of Rights where it says that every American has a right to the 11:30 time slot on the ABC broadcast network, because I missed that part of the Bill of Rights.
And when everyone pointed out that he wasn't being kicked off social media, this is not the same thing that happened to Roseanne, where she was summarily shunned by everyone, or Trump. So they came up with this new word instead of cancel culture. It is consequence culture.
Yes, I like that.
All right, and just today, he actually responded to his firing. So
I haven't seen this.
Let's take a look at this.
Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson. After all these years, they are parting ways, which means he was fired. I mean, that's really what parting ways means.
I love when, first of all, that was funny. You got me. That was very good. Please, Jimmy, spare us your morality lecture, okay? You had women jumping on trampolines, and you wore blackface.
This is a guy who thought that a funny bit would be like absolute strangers getting off of the subway or coming down an escalator and saying to them, hey, do you want to have sex with me? And then putting that on television. Like that was his idea of comedy. Yeah. It still is his idea of comedy, but I bet he doesn't think that he can get away with that on ABC.
Right. And I love when a guy like him, like that clip is so amazing and perfect because it's like the exact situation that's happening to him, and he's mocking Tucker Carlson. And let's face it, he's reveling in Tucker Carlson getting fired. So, dude, we don't feel bad for you. You're going to be fine. You've been making $15 million a year. When people, I don't think people realize when you make $15 million a year, that's more than $1 million a month. That means that every week, think about how much goes into your checking account from your job each week.
I read it was something like $40,000 per episode, which would mean that ABC is having to pony up about, I think it's 68 cents per viewer because his viewership has declined so much. And that doesn't even pay for the production staff, the studio, the electricity, your property tax on the land at the studio.
The security guard who works in the building, like he has to get paid.
And speaking of the hypocrisy, another person who got canceled a long time ago is Roseanne. Everybody remembers that.
Right,
this is Jimmy. I want to read you Jimmy Kimmel's reaction to that.
Okay.
He says that, and this was ABC. This is ABC, same company. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Jimmy Kimmel on Roseanne Barr's tweet. And ABC, to their credit, didn't waste any time. They canceled her show today. I'm not a fan of censorship, but this wasn't about free speech. It was about consequences for saying something vile. You can say what you want, but networks don't have to pay you to say it. You can't blame Ambien for the actions that have consequences. And ABC made the right call. Of course, she was blaming Ambien for her mistake.
You don't have the right to say whatever you want at work. Your company can fire you, and then you can go say that thing out in the parking lot. Like, you're not going to get stopped from saying it by the government.
That's what free speech is that you're able to say it, but no one has to pay you to say it. And this isn't cancel culture. By the way, that word, the cancel culture, actually comes from a word in TV that is being canceled. So, when a show is canceled, they don't take it off the air abruptly, or maybe they don't renew it for another season. But in social terms, cancel culture has become like everything across the board. You lose your job. You are kicked off of social media. All your friends hate you. So Jimmy Kimmel is not canceled here.
No. If anything, he's the opposite of canceled. His friends love him more now. I mean, they're all kissing his ass left and right. All the people, all the Hollywood people. Like, this might be the best thing that ever happened to him. Yeah. Nobody cared about him before this.
And I want to get into a conspiracy theory from my sister here in a moment. But first, Barrett, I want to just give you a little rundown of his ratings. So I looked all of this up. He since 2015 was kind of the height of his popularity. And he averaged about 2.4 million viewers at that point. By 2025, he averages around 1.6 million viewers. That's a 33 to 35% drop. But the bigger drop is in the demographic of buyers, people that advertisers want to target. That's 25 to 54 and 18 to 49. So in 2015, he had nearly 1 million viewers in that demographic. Wow. In 2025, he has dropped to about 261,000 viewers in that demographic. So a 72% decline in his viewership for as far as advertisers are concerned. And that's huge. So ABC was looking for a reason to get rid of him, much like Colbert. They're looking for a reason to get these shows off the air.
His show it sucks. I mean, it's just gone down the tubes with ratings. It's crazy.
My sister gave me this. It actually is genius, and I hadn't thought of it before, but here it is. Carrie's conspiracy theory. Jimmy Kimmel knows his contract is about to be up. He knows that they're going into renegotiation. He knows he's lost nearly half of his audience, more if you count it by demographic. So what a better way to go out getting canceled instead of going out because you suck. So why not be over the top and be ridiculous? Then you can blame it on the right, and you can become a martyr instead of a loser. I thought that was a very good theory. That may be what he is up to right now.
Could be a very good theory. Very well may be what he did. I don't know if he's that well thought out, but as it's turning out, I think he's better off now than he was a week ago, because everyone's rallying behind him, and now he can do something on the internet, and he'll probably do very well.
Well, maybe. I mean, you look at Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, but same thing happened to them, and they have turned it into multi-million-dollar empires, right? Whereas you take somebody like Don Lemon, and he's kind of just a loser. Chris Cuomo, just a loser.
Correct.
You know what I mean? They didn't really do that. So, let's see. He's popular. He's got a lot of people behind him. So maybe he can build some sort of a internet presence of his own. All right, Bob, let's get back to your brother-in-law, because we want both sides of this argument. And your brother-in-law is liberal, and he's a smart liberal, a smart, reasonable liberal.
And let me say, the thing about him is that I would say he's like a Bill Maher type guy, like an old school Democrat. Of course he hates Trump. I mean, that's clearly he hates Trump, but he's not he doesn't think men should be playing women's sports. He's not on board with the transgender nonsense. And you can talk to him. He's normal. He's very successful. He's very smart. So he's a good guy. I actually like him a lot. He's a very good guy.
Okay, let's hear what he had to say to you.
So he texted me this. He said, but I have to say, was what Kimmel said meant to upset Trumpists? Yes. Was he playing games with words? Yes. Was it slimy? I'd have to say yes. Is he, quote, allowed to say that, end quote? Yes. Can ABC fire him for that? Yes. Can the federal government coerce that firing? Hell no. And I agree with everything in that. Including his thing about the federal government. So we have to talk about, did the federal government get involved with this? That's the main thing.
That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line here. And I've got a couple of clips that we can play just to sort of set up this argument, and then you and I can talk about it after the fact. The first clip, I'm going to let CNN set it up. This is actually their comedy show. They're trying to do kind of a Gutfeld show of their own.
They are?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, it's called...
Why have I not heard of this?
Yeah, it's on the weekends. It's called Have I Got News for You? And it actually is kind of a funny show, and it's very left-leaning, and they make fun of people like us. So let me play you this clip because they're describing the timeline of what happened that day and why the left basically considers it coercion, as your brother-in-law
I know.
said.
All right, let me hear what they say.
Let's go through the timeline of what went down over the week on Wednesday. Does anyone know what happened earlier in the day on Wednesday before the Kimmel suspension came down the pipeline?
A podcast Brendan Carr was on, and he kind of did a little be ashamed if something happened to your little nightly show there or your little network. And so, he basically was implying, gosh, ABC better take care of this, because I'd hate to use the power of the government against them.
Points for Team Amber. Hours before Kimmel's show was put on pause, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr was on a right-wing podcast and had this to say.
I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out. But I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Is this the easy way that they're doing it right now?
He's saying if you don't straighten this out, and it's unclear what this is that he's referring to, the government will violate your First Amendment and pull you off the air. He didn't say it in those words because that would be unconstitutional.
I mean, I'm trying to keep my language clean for my best girl, so I won't say what I want to say. But you can go to hell. I'll say it like that. Because freaking the Biden administration specifically told Facebook to take down conservative accounts. So please spare me your outrage. This is not that unusual. When the government puts out feelers to say, hey, you're starting to piss us off and you guys better change the course of your ship or we're going to come down on you. That's been going on forever. You can argue whether the government should ever do it, but don't come at me like this is something new, because that is bullshit. It's nothing new what Carr just did.
All right. For another viewpoint, though, I also want to hear from someone on the right, and the perfect person on the right for this is someone that a very similar thing happened to her, and ABC Disney took her off the air, suspended her for her viewpoints, and that is the great Sage Steele.
As a longtime employee of Disney and ABC who was suspended for her views a couple years ago, I think I have kind of a unique perspective on this Jimmy Kimmel situation. 3 things, and I think we need to make them very clear. Jimmy Kimmel was not telling a joke like he gets paid millions of dollars a year to do. He intentionally referred to the MAGA gang and how they're apparently in denial that Charlie Kirk's killer is one of them. Those are his words, MAGA gang. He said that even after the FBI and the governor of Utah gave very specific details about what was in Tyler Robinson's text messages, and after the governor and the FBI told us very clearly that the shooter, Tyler Robinson, alleged shooter, had written, "Hey, fascist, catch" on one of the bullets. We all know which side uses that word constantly, fascist. It's not MAGA. So what Kimmel did, which further dividing is the nicest way to say it, it's just bad for the bottom line. It's bad for business. And it doesn't help when your ratings are tanking.
So her point is that he was knowingly spreading misinformation, which is exactly why the Biden administration in the previous administration said all these people should be taken off of social media and canceled because they're spreading misinformation, like, for example, during COVID and things like that.
And as it turns out, that stuff wasn't even, it turned out to not even be. It was correct. So they were wrong. So do not, and we know that Kimmel was absolutely wrong, regardless of his awkward syntax and the fact that he may have threaded the needle just a little bit, and maybe he wasn't accusing MAGA. She's right. There was no joke. He's making political statements. That's what he's doing.
Because he knew
incorrect statements.
He knew that federal officials and state officials had said that what he was saying was inaccurate, and this guy was basically a left-leaning nutcase. All right, we're going to wrap this one up for now. Of course, as always, we want you to like, subscribe, and comment. If you comment, keep in mind, we'll try and get back to you, usually on the podcast here, but we're dealing with lots of platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Most of our audience comes from LinkedIn and MySpace, though.
Really?
So follow us there.
Yeah.
All right, we're on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple, and don't miss our new AOL chat room.
Well, that's it for this episode of Barrett and Baxa. Like, subscribe, and do all that other stuff podcasts want you to do.